At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Elnora Webb, who is the president of Laney College. She and her staff have been phenomenal in helping us organize and bring this tour to you today. So at this time, I'd like for you to receive her. Thank you.
Wow. You're gorgeous. Thank you. Wow. So what am I thinking about? You, each one of you. I'm thinking about what life looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, if I'm lucky, 20 years from now. Because of you, because of your own personal genius, I'm expecting remarkable things in the city of Oakland, in the East Bay, in Northern California, in California, throughout this country, because of you, because of your investment in your own understanding of the world around you, your own understanding of you as an asset, your understanding that you can be the change you desire, and you can facilitate that in each one of us to be much more effective in what we do in our personal lives, but most importantly, to be complements to others. So I'm thinking about 5 years from now, 10, 15, 20, and how things are going to be much more extraordinary because of your investment. When education works, it works because it is facilitating in you a remembrance of your own personal genius. You came here with hope, you came here with understanding, you came here with absolute technical skills, but at a very interesting level. So when you walk into a college or university, when you return to your high schools and to the community-based organizations that you're working with, recognize you have quite a bit of knowledge, technical skills, and it's our responsibility to leverage them to help you make the next what? Take the next step, make the next what? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Louder. Some of you are saying it. Let me tell you, if I was an extraordinary performer and you listened to me every week, you'd be shouting in this room. I'm humble. I'm not an extraordinary performer. Yet I know you know the next word. And I want you to think about what that means. Whether it's move, whether it's something else, think about it. The power of life is recognizing that much of what you are going to experience is based upon your own consciousness. It's not just what's happening with you. What you hold between your ears is a great deal of what you're going to experience, not just what we make available to you or someone else does. It's how you interpret that. You're powerful beyond anything that I can imagine. So continue to seize opportunities. So when someone says, what are you going to do when you grow up? You're already growing up. You're already doing some things. So affirm where you're at and what you're doing. When someone asks you, how special are you? Affirm that you already are. When someone says, what have you earned? You can even say to yourself, you don't have to earn anything. You've already come with so much. You are exceptional human beings, and you do not need to be affirmed. Yet today, Wells Fargo, today, UNCF, today, so many of us are affirming you because you deserve to be affirmed. But again, you don't have to earn it. Remember that. You don't have to earn an A in a class to be acknowledged as special. You already are. So seize what we have to offer to enable you to get to that next step. Like this genius of a spirit with Wells Fargo, who just shared his personal story, I want to share my brief personal story. I was one of those children who didn't have a clue that I deserved anything. In fact, I was so busy trying to survive and trying to be invisible in the process that I had no clue that I already came with intelligence. I came with things that were powerful. I was born to a 13-year-old who was harmed since the age of 5. I was told I was going to die before the age of 20 because of the nature of my birth and the nature of my living circumstances. I was in at least 6 different households that I remember. And at any given time, I didn't know where I was going to be the next month. And for whatever reason, I never believed my circumstances defined me. I believed that somehow I could make it through this stuff, but I only was thinking about survival. Why do you think I went to college? Anyone? I went to college because I didn't want to be homeless. And someone said there was dorms there, you could live there. So I aspired to go to college to ensure that I was not homeless. I knew I'd age out of foster care, and where would I be? Because I didn't belong to anyone, and I didn't have a clue. And in the process of going to college and fighting to stay there, working full-time, I realized, wow, I can learn. I had to learn how to learn. I can read for understanding. I can use my critical faculties. I can not just enjoy math and do well in math, I can actually write a paper. But I struggled to do that. And the reason why I struggled is because I didn't want to feel. If I read for understanding, I would begin to reflect. I didn't want to reflect. If I tried to struggle with writing, I had to feel, I had to think. I didn't want to think critically about anything. I just wanted to get by. I wanted to survive. So in the process of learning how to learn, I actually learned how to feel. I had catharsis, terrible experiences. I was afraid of being. And then I came out of all of that on the other side, and wow, I realized I could survive. It was okay. And more importantly, I was okay as I was. What I thought was a little strange pug nose, big cheeks, 2 big lips, were actually beautiful. I had no clue. That was a little ugly thing that was trying to hide. I didn't know there was anything of substance inside. Education saved my life, literally. And because of it, I chose to stay in it. I chose to want to give. And as a result of it, I'm successful. So when I went to the high school vice principal and said I want to be in college prep, he didn't know why. He said, don't worry about it, McDonald's is down the street. I was already working for McDonald's. So I sat there and didn't move. To get me out of his room, he put me in college prep courses. I had no clue what he was doing. I was diagnosed in grade school as mentally retarded because of my origins. Nothing to do with my capacity. You see what I'm trying to tell you? We don't even know our capacity until we allow ourselves to struggle, to meet challenges, and then to exceed those challenges. Just like my brother here talked about not knowing this language, which is very crazy. English is a weird language, quite frankly. It's a hodgepodge of all of these weird rules, and yet he's a genius that was always special. And he actualized it, and now he's in the strategic role. Go figure. I'm president of a college. Go figure. You, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you are going to be answering things that we have yet to even question, that we need to question in order to make circumstances much better for all of us. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for choosing to be present, for caring about yourself, and for choosing to want to make a difference in your life. And as a result, you're going to make my life that much more extraordinary. With all due respect and much love, have a wonderful day.
I'm a senior vice president at Wells Fargo. I'm with the strategic partnerships team, which is part of the National Foundation, and I'm really excited to see all of you that are here today. I do see some of you on your phones, so hopefully it's because you're tweeting and you're telling all your friends about this great event happening for free. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So I'm going to have the panelists actually introduce themselves, and then we'll start off with some questions for the panel. So to my left, we'll start off with Netta Conyers-Haynes.
Hi, I'm Netta, and I am Internal Communications Manager for Facebook. I'm originally from Oakland. In fact, my father went to Laney College in 1973. There you go. Yay! Let's see, I went to San Jose State University. I graduated with a degree in public relations. I also have a master's in strategic communications from Seton Hall University in New Jersey. And I'm glad to be here, and hopefully some of the advice we can give you will be beneficial. So thanks for having us.
Great, let's give it up for Netta. All right, Mr. Jeff Taylor.
Testing. All right, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
First off, I want to I think all of you should give yourselves a round of applause for taking that step forward and coming out here and taking a step forward to learning about financial literacy and learning about college. My name is Jeff Taylor again. I'm a senior vice president with Wells Fargo. I've been with the company for about 9 years. I grew up in Ohio, so I'm not originally from the Bay Area. And I went to a college by the name of Miami University in Ohio. And an interesting factoid about me is my first job and where I learned my management skills was fast food. So I know many of you look down on working in fast food or retail. It does have its benefits. So I worked at Chick-fil-A and got a $1,500 scholarship to go to college there. So don't shy away from retail and fast food.
And we like Chick-fil-A. They just opened up in Fremont. All right, and then finally, Lisa Tomlinson from the Golden State Warriors. Let's give it up for the Warriors!
Good morning. I am delighted to be here, and thank you very much for the warm reception. I am the Vice President of Human Resources for the Golden State Warriors, and we are having a wonderful season. And we are glad
yes,
to.
You are. Yes, you are.
And we are glad to be part of the Oakland community. Had no idea you're from Ohio. I too am from Ohio. A small world. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and I went to college in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And we'll kind of talk about how that happened. I wasn't where I was initially going to college. Really delighted to participate in this panel today because I have some strong feelings about money management, particularly with young people. I have two nieces that are in their 20s that have graduated from college, but we've had lessons that I've taught them from the time they were 5 years old about managing money. So looking forward to having some discussions with you.
Great, thank you so much. Let's give it up for Lisa. All right, so if you think about this panel, you heard their story. Now picture yourself 15 years from now, and you're sitting up here. What's your story? And that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about where do you see yourselves 15 years from now? So as you can imagine, you're here on a Saturday, you're here at 11 o'clock, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I could have been doing something else potentially, but you're here. So you definitely want to make the best of your time. If you think about it, when is the next time you'll ever be in this room with a panelist, someone from Facebook, someone from Wells Fargo, and then someone from the Golden State Warriors? Really think about that. Think about what you want to get out of this panel. Think about how they can help you in obtaining where you want to go. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that, mic check, no. The only way that you're going to be able to do that is to really be able to think now and use the time wisely, because we have about, I'd say, about 35 minutes with these folks. And again, when is the next time you'll be in a room talking to someone from Facebook, Golden State Warriors, and Wells Fargo? It's pretty major. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my first question to the panel. And don't forget, we're going to take questions, so start thinking about the questions ahead of time. So we'll start off with Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, what led you to the job you're in today?
When I was about probably your age, I knew I liked money. And you know, I liked the things that came along with money. So I thought about the cars and the houses and the clothes. And so I knew I wanted to work with money and make money, but I didn't know why I wanted to do, and for the wrong reasons. So I knew that when I looked on TV, I looked at athletes and entertainers, and I saw people that looked like me. But when I looked in the financial services and Wall Street, I didn't see anybody that quite looked like me. So I thought, well, that would be cool to be on Wall Street and make a lot of money. So that's how I went about to set out a goal to be on Wall Street. And when I went to college, I went to college on a full scholarship, and it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with paper science engineering. And the only reason I took that scholarship is because it was a full ride. But when I was in college, I realized, one, I didn't know what paper science engineering was. And two, it wasn't gonna get me to where I wanted to be, which was on Wall Street. So I realized that chemistry and physics and math wasn't my strong suit. So I had to drop the scholarship and fully fund my own college education through grants and loans to get to where I wanted to be. And I knew, so I did, I ended up with a degree in economics and political science. And my first job out of college was with a bank in Ohio. And I knew I wanted to work with money and make money and wear nice suits. So that's how I ended up in my job today, is through that career path of wanting to work on Wall Street. And I do work on Wall Street right now.
And you do have a nice suit on, thanks.
Well, thank you, Denise. You look quite stunning yourself.
Thank you. I made this myself, I sew, so thank you. Not that I'm coming out with my own line or anything, that's not the case. I'm a selfish sewer. So anyways, going back to the panel. So Netta, tell us about how you got, because it's very similar, right, to Jeff's?
It is very similar. You know, if a man don't work, neither shall he eat, right? So I had to early on figure out what I was going to do in college, coming from a family with 6 kids. And actually, this is my plan C. So my first dream was to be an interior designer, and that didn't pan out. And then I decided I wanted to go into journalism, and I made a lot of efforts to go down that path. I had an internship at Channel 11 in San Jose. And then I realized when you get into that field, it's likely that you're going to start in like Fresno or Pocatello, Idaho, somewhere where there's not a lot of people. And I wanted to stay here in the Bay Area. At the same time I was in college, I was working at a tech company, and I wanted to start a company newsletter. And they told me, well, talk to public relations. And it was just by happenstance, I talked to the public relations director. She helped me start a company newsletter at a tech company. In fact, the tech company is the GPS system. So if any of you are driving, or your parents drive, and there's a GPS built in your car, the navigation system, that's the company I worked for as a sophomore in college. So anyway, just by making connections at work and sharing my story that I wanted to transfer from journalism to public relations is how I ended up in the field. And the lesson learned there is just talk to people. There's a lot of resources, so just people will make themselves available to you.
Great, thank you. Lisa?
Well, when I started college, I was part of, I think I share this with Denise, I was part of a cooperative education program. And so I guess what I want to start with is that your best laid plans will shift and take a detour. Because I was supposed to start school in August, going directly to the University of Michigan. But that summer I worked on a cooperative education program, and they wanted to pilot having some select students work full-time and go to school full-time at night. Now I knew I had a full ride going to school, but I really wanted to come out of school with 4 years of practical work experience. So every 6 weeks during my 4 years of college, I did a rotation in human resources, and I've always been in human resources, in recruitment, compensation, benefits, succession plan, just the whole gamut for 4 years. So by the time I graduated from college, I also possessed 4 years of work experience working with some of the leaders in our company at the Bindex Corporation, and was able to really take that experience, and I was 4 years ahead of my peers who were graduating with me. So, and I was able to do things that other people weren't able to do when they came out of college, because I had money saved, I had a job, I made connections, I networked throughout the Bindex organization and with our relationships, with other companies. So I was open to that. My parents were, of course, concerned and skeptical initially. Because like, I'm the oldest of 5 children, and you want to go to school full time with a bunch of adults and not enjoy what college life is supposed to be like. But I kept thinking that for me personally, I've always been this sort of old soul, that I wanted to get to a place of accomplishment faster. So what I will, leave you with is that if you're thinking about doing something that's unorthodox or a little non-traditional, go with that, because it's okay. You don't have to do it exactly the same way everybody else does it. So that's what I'll do.
Great, thank you. So it sounds like it's okay to change your major, right? And then it sounds like networking is very important. How many of you all have networked at least with 1 or 2 people since you've been here? Raise your hand. Yeah? Okay. So as you know, it's about who you know, and a lot of the jobs that I received, and it sounds like a lot of the jobs that folks on the panel have received, are based on relationships and what they have, who they've met. But all of these folks are hiring managers. So as you can imagine, they've seen so many different people, different candidates. But I want to know, it's like, what stands out to you all? You see these folks, and if there was a position in Facebook, a position in Golden State Warriors, a position at Wells Fargo, what would you say is the one thing that would stand out to you in a candidate that you want to hire? And we'll start with Netta.
The thing that sticks out to me most is how well do you know our business, Facebook? And whenever you go on a job interview, you have to be diligent in researching the company. And with Facebook, a lot of people think it's just about connecting to friends and sharing information, but it's so much more than that. So the other big piece too is business acumen. I'm in the communications field, and I often talk to students who want to major in communications. Are there any communication majors or anyone who want to major in communications?
Communications
okay,
major, raise your hand. Just one? Okay.
What I often hear is that they want to major in communications because they like people, and they're friendly, and they want to talk to people. Well, in this field is much more than that. You really need to understand a P&L, a profit and loss statement, how the company makes money, the economics of the industry. It's not just about talking to people. You need to understand how human resources work, because you're going to work with that group a lot. You need to understand the legal team. So to show that you know a lot about the business in terms of Facebook, and then just business in general, is critically important, at least in my industry. The third thing I would say is presentation. How well do you present yourself? And I think in an earlier panel I heard someone say, it doesn't matter what you look like, if you think you're fat or thin or light or dark, but it's really about how you present yourself. Do you make that eye contact? Are you talking to people with confidence? So those are the 3 things that stick out for me.
And then really quickly, can you just talk about when you went to your interview at Facebook and the dress and making sure you look at that?
Facebook is a little different because people come to work in shorts and t-shirts. So it's Silicon Valley, that's how they operate. But I made it a point to show up at my interview in a suit, and I was the oddball, and I still am the oddball. So I go to work, I'm the oddball for a couple of reasons, but I don't go to work in shorts. That's the norm around there, but you have to be aware of how people perceive you. And I'm aware how people may perceive a black woman in a dominant culture that's all white. I can't do the same things that they do. So just keep that in mind. I'm very much myself, but you're not gonna see me slacking off in my dress.
Great, thank you. All right, Lisa?
You know, there are two things that I look for when people come into my office. One is their level of professionalism. I want you to come in and just because I'm a sister sitting across the desk, I want you to show up like you want this opportunity. Because I'm going to be presenting you to other hiring managers for opportunities. And I want you to be prepared to represent yourself in a way in which I can then represent you to that hiring manager. The next thing that I want you to do, and echoing what Netta said, is that to be prepared. You know, I mean, everybody knows about the Golden State Warriors, but many of the other companies that I've worked for, you know, with PepsiCo and Williams-Sonoma and Marriott Corporation, you know, you may not know a lot about the inner workings of those organizations, but it's accessible. That information is accessible. And to be prepared just separates you from the pack. And the other thing that I tell everybody, and as I'm often told, I'm old school, and that's okay, I'm good with that. And I'm good with that, right? I tell my nieces that all the time. If you sit down and you've had a meeting with the hiring manager, take the time to write a personal note to them. Email is not acceptable. At least, I mean, it's okay, but separate yourself from the pack, you know? Because if I interview 15 people and I get one note and you're close to somebody else's, I'm gonna take another look at you. Because it tells me that you thought enough about who you are and how you want to show up for this opportunity, okay?
Great. And Jeff?
So are there any first-generation college students here?
Wow.
Yeah, I can relate to you, so I wanted to make sure I recognize you in the audience. You know, when it comes to identifying quality candidates for a role in my office, it all has to do with, one, communication, like it's already been stated. You know, it's ask, not ask, right? So small things, pay attention to details. Also, and I'll tell you a quick story because I think that kind of conveys the message. I had a candidate that was interested in being a financial advisor. So he came to the interview, he gave me his resume, and he came by way of a referral. So he was recommended by someone. So it was mentioned in the earlier panel to network. But networking doesn't excuse you from being prepared. It gets you the opportunity. So this candidate shows up, and the message that was conveyed from that candidate was, because I was referred, I got this. So the first question that I presented to that candidate was, since he wanted to be a financial advisor, he wanted to work with money, he wanted to work in the stock market, the first question I posed to him was, what did the market do today? He had no clue. He wasn't prepared. And you could tell from that point forward, that threw him off his game. He never recovered. Never recovered. And I really had, it was by design. I wanted to make sure that if you're really interested in this field, you want to work for me, you got to come prepared before the interview. So make the preparations. Talk to people you know that work for that company and that organization. Find out what the culture is. Find out, like Netta mentioned earlier, you have to find out what the culture is, what the dress is. Talk to people, and really come prepared.
Great. Is this all resonating with you guys? Is it resonating? Are you guys getting it? Okay. All right. So before we move on to money management, so talk about your company and the job opportunities. I know some of these young people are like, oh, how do I get into the Golden State Warriors and, be a ball boy? No, I'm just kidding. But how do I work at Facebook and meet Mark Zuckerberg? But talk about some of the job opportunities and the positions available and, what they should do if they're interested in applying. And I'll start with Lisa.
Well, at the Golden State Warriors, particularly where you're at this stage of your education, probably the best avenue would be to come in through the internship program. So we have a robust internship program for the summer, and it's 8 weeks, and you would be, partnered with probably 40 other interns throughout the company, and it's a great entree, and so you can kind of look around and see what department you may have an interest in, and also meet other college interns from around the United States. So probably would be the best place to come into the organization. If you're interested in just working for the summer, that's your best avenue. If you're looking for opportunities after you've graduated, then we can certainly sit down and talk with you about some of that. We're gonna, right now we have approximately, it's interesting, people don't realize that once you're with the Golden State Warriors or any sports team, you have access to the NBA, because that's our umbrella company that we do work with, and that might be of interest to you in New York or any of the other 29 teams in the United States, professional basketball teams. And here we have the good fortune in California to have 4 teams. So we have relationships with the other 3 teams. So we can make introductions for you as well.
Great. Jeff?
So in banking or in advising financially, you can start off as a teller or a personal banker. And oftentimes what I see, particularly with your generation, is candidates, first-time candidates will show up and they really want to know, all right, once I get this job, how do I get to be you? And they don't want to put in the effort and the work it took to be me, right? So they come in, I'll do this job for a year, but then I want your job. It took me 20 years to get here, and I can teach you a little bit about how to shorten that cycle, but it's not going to be a year. So use the opportunity of your first job, your first entry-level job, is to really teach you a level of skill of how to show up to work on time. You're developing skill sets that will prepare you for your next career move. So there's nothing wrong with starting in an entry-level position. Oftentimes you may not make what you thought you should, but once you get into a corporation and you've got great communication skills and you've got great networking skills, you can move up pretty quickly in an organization like Wells Fargo. So, oftentimes you come in on an entry level, determine what you want to get out of that position at that particular time. So you can start out as a personal banker, a teller, and that's where I internally identify financial advisors in training from our banking population. So we license you to sell investments at that level, and if you're successful, then we'll bring you on board as a financial advisor.
Okay, great. Netta?
This is a loaded question for me, but real talk here. Facebook wants you. Facebook wants a graphic designer just like you. There's a huge issue with companies in Silicon Valley where there's no diversity. There's very little diversity. We have 2% African Americans at Facebook. And I tell you, the company is doing everything they can to reach out to minority candidates. So don't think that companies like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Golden State Warriors, Wells Fargo, don't think that's not within your reach. It very much is. I would recommend, if you're interested in companies like Facebook, to get involved in programs like Year Up, and they are here today. It's a program that teaches you business and technical skills for 6 months, and then it places you in internships at different companies. And I've hired several interns, and the good thing about some of those internship programs is that they're trying to convert you into full-time employees. So definitely the internship. With Facebook, I'll say too, 70% of the people we hire are by referral, which means you know someone and they can vouch for your skills. So that's why networking is so important. After this session is over, you should be rushing to this table and talking to us, getting our business cards and keeping in contact. That's how I got my first job, and that's also how I got an internship at Channel 11 News. I played basketball at San Jose City College, and they were out filming us. And I told one of the sports reporters, I said, I'm gonna have your job one day. And he just kind of looked at me. And then the next thing you know, I had an internship and worked there for 6 months. So be aggressive, know what you want, and pursue it relentlessly.
And then the only thing I would add on top of the fantastic comments regarding careers is, I would say all of these folks have many different positions within the company. So in other words, you may think banking, but I get to give money away. So technically, it's not just about a teller, it's not just about a banker. There's marketing positions, there's communications positions. So I would say seek out within the company what the different positions are. The second thing I would say is I like what Jeff and Lisa had said about working hard and starting from the bottom. I started in journalism. I actually was a TV news producer in Reno for a CBS affiliate. I'd say my first year out of college, making $8.25 an hour. Being a TV news producer for a CBS station in Reno, Nevada, $8.25 an hour. And when they gave me a raise, it was $8.50 an hour. So as you can imagine, I had to get another job to pay my bills. So I say that to say, it's okay to start from the bottom because that's how you work your way up. You learn the names of the executive assistants, you learn the names of the janitors, you learn the names of everyone in that company that can give you information on how to get your next leg up. So that's what I have to say about jobs, and we're gonna talk more about jobs when you have questions. How many of you all have questions? Because you know you want to stand out, right? You want to stand out to this panel? No? No one wants to stand out? Okay. Okay, save your question because we're going to talk about careers. Because I know this group, UIODC, you guys should have tons of questions. All right. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about money management and we'll open it up. So we're going to do a round robin just so we can open up for questions. So we'll go ahead and start off with Jeff, since this is our topic, Wells Fargo's topic, money management. What was the first big ticket item you bought with your own money, and how did you save for it?
So I mentioned earlier that I worked for Chick-fil-A, and I started out, doing fries, right? Worked my way up to being a manager at Chick-fil-A, and at the time I thought that was pretty good money. A little background, I'll set the stage a little bit, is, I grew up in a single parent home primarily, and my mom didn't have a car. So we took the bus everywhere, literally, even to the grocery store, we took the bus, right? So I knew as soon as I turned 16 and I got my license, I knew I had to provide the means to get a car. So I took money that I was earning in my management job at Chick-fil-A, and I just put aside half my paycheck. And the first big ticket money item I bought was a car. So I set a goal for myself, number one, and I saved every week until I got to the goal that I wanted. And I bought my first car. It was $500. I paid cash, and it was due to me saving. And one thing my mom did instill in us is good habits. And you're at the age right now, and I love this group and this age, is because you have to start building good money management habits today. Don't wait or don't put off until you get a job or you think that you're gonna be making all this money, because it's a trap. And the trap is, the more money you make, your expenses increase, right? So you're gonna have to learn how to manage money. And it was mentioned in the panel earlier, we look at things sort of backwards, right? So we get our paycheck, Uncle Sam gets his money first, and then we spend it. We take something off the top, we spend it, and then we try to pay our bills, right? And then we look, well, there's not enough to pay bills. Well, you spent part of it. How about, and then whatever's left, if there is anything left, then we save that. It should be the reverse. Uncle Sam's gonna get his, save first. So if you took $50 a month and you put it away and it earned 7% for 30 years, you'd have $60,000. So that's $50 a month, right? So when you get your first job and they ask you to sign up for your 401k plan or whatever, you've already developed good habits by taking a part of your current paycheck and saving it and not touching it. So.
Great. Let's turn around applause for that. All right, so Netta, where or how did you learn money management?
Oh my gosh, I'm still learning it. But it's,
Me too.
It's really a mentality. I really like what Jeff said. You know, I grew up with 5 siblings, the second oldest, from East Oakland. We did not have a lot. So God bless my parents, I love them to death, but I did not want to be in that same situation. I didn't want to not have food for my children. We struggled quite a bit. So having those early on experiences really shaped my mentality that when I got money, I was gonna hold on to it. I wasn't just gonna be giving my money and buying new shoes and having the latest this and the latest that just, because I know what it was like to be poor. So how I learned to manage money is real life, not having it. I'd like you spent time on Saturdays and the evenings taking different classes to learn about life skills, money management, how to communicate. So when you see these different courses and opportunities, take advantage and learn about it. In fact, Wells Fargo was the first bank account I opened. I remember, I'm not with you anymore, but it was my first bank account.
We can change that.
We're here for you.
But I do remember that they had offered courses or some type of education at the local bank that I took. So, and it's an ongoing process, but just because you make money doesn't mean you have to immediately turn around and spend it. I think that was the biggest lesson I learned early on in life.
Great. Let's give a round of applause for that. And speaking of resources, Jeff will talk about that in a minute, but wanted to ask Lisa, so what advice would you give the students about money management while they are in college?
I mean, I can only echo what has already been said, but the biggest thing is just making sure that you pay yourself first. I mean, from my very first job and to today, I pay I got it back a bit. I pay my tithes, and then I pay myself. but I pay myself, and that I don't touch. And I compete with myself in the way that I save. So I put my money in the bank, but I also think of other creative ways to save as well. Like, I mean, you'll be surprised. I got the change that I have in my purse, I'll put it put it away. If I have 5 singles, and I compete with myself every year. If I have 5 ones, I'll put 3 of the 5 and put it away. Because I'm not gonna miss it, right? If I just stash it away and just start thinking about this is what you're gonna work with in addition to what you've already set aside in the bank. And for me, and I'll share this because you never know how your life is gonna change. I lost both my parents in my early 20s, and I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. So, I had a kid brother. There's 12 years difference in our ages, and I had to put him through college, right? I didn't know but if I had a mindset that I was going to spend money as soon as I got my paycheck, I couldn't have helped him to get to the next place that he needed to get to. That was through college. My parents didn't want me to leave him and let off the older 4 get through school and just leave Joseph kind of hanging out there on his own. And I had to step up differently. I've never had my own children, so I just had to step up differently. You don't know why you're being prepared for things that have occurred in your lifetime, because I had this other, opportunity that was going to be there. And I mean, greatest treasure, one of the greatest treasures of my life are my two sisters and my two brothers. But saving is extremely important to me because I'm the oldest. They're my kids, and I don't know what they're going to need from me. Well, not now, but before I didn't know what they were going to need from me. Co-signing for cars, helping with college education and loans and first kids and that stuff. So my father used to always tell us, God bless the child that has their own, and I believe that, and I think that's sort of been written across my forehead in everything that I do. I think about having my own. So.
Great.
One thing I didn't mention, and Lisa reminded me of it, is your best friend is a budget.
Oh my God, yeah.
Create a budget, learn how to budget.
Yes.
You can have money to kick it.
Oh yeah.
It's called a kick it bucket, or it's called entertainment. But as long as you know what's coming in and what's going out, that's your budget. That's going to be, to this day, I still use effectively a budget. And I can't tell you how valuable that's been to me. And Wells Fargo provides these tools. So we have hands-on banking, right? That you can go out on the website and learn how to, depending upon your situation, it'll tailor something specifically for you, right? This month is Teach Teens How to Save. There's all sorts of apps. There was an individual on the panel today that launched a financial literacy. So we really have no excuse in today's day and age. You have way more tools and resources and information available to you today than I ever had, right?
Yeah,
So, create a budget. If you don't know, you can go out online and pick a budget. Just start with it. And having a budget and sticking to it are two different things. Create a budget and stick to it, and you'll be surprised how effective that will be.
And then go ahead, Lisa.
And I got to tell you something. Nothing reeks of confidence more than knowing where you're at and how you manage yourself. I got to tell you, when you're managing your assets, you're able to make better decisions because you're not tied to situations or companies that may be like, I'm about ready to bounce, but I can't because I don't have any money. I don't have any money, or I want to step out on faith on this opportunity to do something different just because it intrigues me. If you don't have a nest egg, you're limited.
And this tour, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, me too.
This tour is called what? Empower Me Tour. If you're a debtor, in other words, if you owe money to this credit card and that credit card, you're not empowering me, you're empowering them.
Absolutely.
So think about the tour and saying, empower me. Don't be a debtor. Credit is not a bad thing if you use it effectively. But when you're wisely. But if you are a debtor, you're not empowering yourself, you're empowering that credit card company or the person that lent you that money.
So I'm empowering you with the website really quickly, www.handsonbanking.org, and that's the Wells Fargo non-commercial financial education tool. And I know that we need to empower ourselves with some lunch that's being pushed around, and we will in a minute with closing remarks really quick. But before they give their closing remarks, if folks who are going to ask questions ask, because like I said, this is your opportunity to stand out. So for folks, like I said, that want to ask questions, there's a mic here and a mic there. So with that, closing comments. We'll start off with quick closing comments. Ready? Netta.
I think the one thing I'll leave you with, as I mentioned earlier, as you're looking for jobs, really be thoughtful about what you want to do, network, make those contacts, and present yourself with confidence. I'm looking out here and I see a lot of smart looking people here. And I think you guys will do well in life, so best of luck.
Real quick, it was mentioned in the earlier panel about failure. I failed, and I won't say fail because the way I think it was Albert Einstein who said it wasn't failure, it was just 1,000 different ways that didn't work. Right? So relentlessly pursue a solution or your goal. and understand that there are going to be several bumps in the road. But don't look at it as failure, just look at it as something that didn't work, and I'm going to work hard relentlessly to find something that does. Thank you.
Wow, I don't even know how to close with you because I'm so pleased for the greatness that's ahead of you. And I mean, I'm just so excited for each and every one of you. I will leave you with one thing that kind of has been my mantra, and that is just live. Just live and try, because you know what you want. I mean, listen to your spirit. Whatever's inside of you is what you need to pay attention to. And because that's going to guide you, because therefore it was deposited in you for a reason. It's for you to listen to it, and don't run away from it. So I wish you greatness.
So any questions? If I was to give you all a person $100, would you ask a question? So why wouldn't you all think that their advice isn't worth $100? Something to think about? Yes, go to the mic. Thank you.
Short, sorry.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Victoria Whitehurst, and my question was, what positions in your companies would work best for a business major? And is the internships at your companies being able to transfer over states? Because I transfer over state to college in Arizona, so I was kind of wondering how that would work.
So it sounds like finance. Jeff, do you have a response for that? Internships, finance?
Yeah, so we do offer internships for business majors, entry level. You can go out to wellsfargo.com and type careers, and I think you could find a link that would give you some information on internships there.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the question. All right, on the side.
Hi. Can you give any networking strategies on how you should put yourself in places to, I guess, talk to people in high power so that you know what to be prepared for? I know this is, an example of an event, I guess, but this doesn't, this comes a dime a dozen.
Okay. Netta?
Well, I told you my networking strategy earlier where I told a reporter I was going to have his job. Yeah, I think you're doing the right thing now when you come to events like this. One thing I did early on before I even had a job is I made a business card for myself. And that way, I didn't expect people to necessarily contact me, but they remembered me. So opportunities like this, make sure you're talking to the panelists. Even at lunchtime, sit with someone different and introduce yourself. So every opportunity is a networking opportunity. You're at the car wash, you're at the grocery store. Talk to people, and I think that's why it's also very important to be presentable 24/7, because you never know who you're going to run into.
Doesn't he look nice?
Yes, he does. Very handsome.
Very presentable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Hamad again. This one's specifically for Netta. I was just wondering, you talked about you did journalism, things like that. What kind of steps did you take to become the internal communications manager at Facebook? And also, what's a typical day for you? What kind of tasks do you do? What do you work with? Are you public relations? Like, are you, what kinds of things do you do?
Facebook Insider.
There is no typical day for me. It changes daily. I come in, I go through emails, I have a plan, and it completely blows up. A lot of my job is my responsibility in internal communications is making sure employees have the information that they need to be successful in their jobs. One thing that I do every Friday is Mark Zuckerberg, our CEO, has a Q&A with all employees. You could just stand up like you're doing now and ask him any question you want, and we get a bunch of interesting questions. I facilitate that. I write a prep document for him. Fridays at 9 a.m., I send that to him, and then I prep it again with updated information at 3 o'clock. And the information is about all of our business products. We launched Messenger, we just bought a company, we have this many new employees starting. So I really have to understand what's happening around the company, and that means working with people from human resources, from our financial office. The other part of your question, how did I get into internal communications? I did public relations for 7 years, working with the media, and quite frankly, I got tired of that, and I kept my eye out at different companies for opportunities, and and just kind of apply to jobs. And I'd be happy to talk to you more afterwards.
Great, thank you. And our last question.
Hello, my name is Tayo. I'm here with the Wise Scholars Program in Girls Inc. And my question is just a little personal struggle of mine. I don't know whether to pursue a career like that pays well but isn't like my true passion, which wouldn't give me much finances. So I'm wondering if there's any advice for my situation.
Lisa, did you want to take that?
Well, I'm a firm believer in living for your passion, because I do believe that will reap returns for you. At the same token, you may not be able to do that initially, and you may have to work a regular job and then embark on, feeding and satisfying your passion simultaneously as a part-time, venture. And I get that 1,000%. But so I guess my advice to you is, if you can afford to live and take care of yourself while you commit yourself 100% to your passion, regardless of what it nets you financially, I would do that. If you're not, then I think I would recommend that you do combine the two.
And all I have to say is $8.25 an hour. Remember that, $8.25 an hour. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's give it up for the panelists. Yay, thank you. So it looks like lunch is starting to be served. So the last thing I would say is, before I bring Jasmine up, it's nice to be important, but it's important to also be nice. So thank you very much.